What's up, everybody? It's Jared with Capture the Magic, and in today's video, we're going to talk about themed experiences. And this topic has come up recently as Universal is expanding with Halloween Horror Nights concept into these Horror Unleashed haunted houses that they are doing out in Las Vegas, and now they just announced yesterday in Chicago, which are year-round haunted house experiences, as well as they're also expanding with the Universal Kids Resorts that they're doing. So it's not going to be uncommon that other companies with lots of money and deep pockets may want to get in on this, and I think the next one here we're seeing is Netflix, says they have announced a Netflix house that is coming to Las Vegas, as well as Philadelphia and Dallas later this year. And does this also mean that maybe Netflix and other companies are going to be getting in on the themed entertainment experiences going forward? So we have this article here from the Hollywood Reporter. It says Las Vegas will get the next Netflix house as Philly, Dallas locations plan to launch this year. Immersive experiences based on Wednesday, One Piece, Knives Out, and Squid Game are among the launch attractions, plus a movie theater. Netflix is getting serious about its Netflix House experiential entertainment effort, unveiling extensive details about its first two locations in Pennsylvania and Texas, and planning a third location in the heart of Las Vegas set to open in 2027. Each Netflix house will feature immersive experiences based on films or TV shows from the service, paired with food and retail offerings. The streaming giant says that the first two locations in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, and Dallas, Texas, will open in late 2025, with the Las Vegas location to be based at the Boulevard right on the Strip. The Pennsylvania location, dubbed Netflix House Philadelphia, will launch with all new experiences based on Wednesday and One Piece, as well as virtual reality games and a mini golf course inspired by Netflix shows. Notably, it will also have a movie theater, the Tudum Theater, which will showcase Netflix films and shows on the big screen, as well as special events like trivia and drive-in nights. While Netflix has largely eschewed big theatrical runs for its films, it does operate theaters in New York City and Los Angeles, so a suburban shopping mall is a logical next step. The Texas location will include experiences based on Stranger Things and Squid Game, as well as what the company is calling Netflix Replay, which is a room packed with physical challenges, immersive story rooms, and retro-style games where you can take on your friends or play as a team. All locations will include a Netflix Bites restaurant based on its learnings from its Las Vegas and Los Angeles test. The company is expected to refresh the experiences, food, and merchandise on a regular cadence, and other shows and films will also be reflected in each location. Netflix has experimented with immersive experimental entertainment before, including experiences in cities like New York and Los Angeles based on the IP Squid Games, Bridgerton, and other shows. The Netflix house concept, however, takes that to a different level with a permanent location in dense locations where the company is hoping to engage consumers more frequently. At a conference earlier this year, Netflix co-CEO Ted Sarandos said that the company contrasted Netflix's strategy with that of, say, Disney, noting that they hoped people would come to Netflix houses multiple times per year, or perhaps every time they venture to the mall. He said that he could envision the company ultimately having dozens of them around the world, with experiences able to travel between them. So it's finally a place where the Netflix story you can't get enough of becomes something real that you can play, shop, and taste. This is fandom coming to life, where you can actually step inside the worlds you've been watching and loving for years. Whether going on an epic adventure with the Straw Hats, or taking a journey into Hawkins, Indiana, or grabbing a cocktail inspired by your latest obsession, with fresh experiences dropping regularly, there's always a new reason to come back, says Marion Lee, Netflix's CMO, in a statement. So it's not a theme park, but it is along these same lines. Again, like you look at what Universal's doing with the Horror Unleashed, of these themed experiences coming to these bigger locations like this. Netflix getting involved in this is very interesting, and they do even quote Disney in this, as I do think you look at the Disney revenue, like it is massive how much those theme parks bring in. And obviously there's an appetite for themed experiences, and given how much IPs are used in theme parks now, Disney and Universal and other places, it's not really a surprise that Netflix could look at this with the IPs that they have, and instead of licensing those out to, say, a theme park company to be able to do some of these things, which is like the traditional model that you would do, instead, Netflix, first off, has a lot of money, and they can do these sorts of things, and having your own themed experiences, taking advantage of what people do want, and having multiple locations of this is an interesting concept because again, a big theme park, you're wanting people to come to you on a a specific trip and going out of their way, paying lots of money. Whereas that these experience based houses, or they're calling it Netflix house, but these buildings, these locations are in highly populated areas that also have tourism and can be a way for people that are fans of those IPs and Netflix and go in there and experience them in a different way. And I don't know how this will go. I mean, this is a very interesting concept. Just the same way I don't know how Universal's year-round haunted house experience is going to go. I mean, I have questions about, the time periods of January, February, and March outside the Halloween season. How will they do during that? But obviously, Universal is very confident in this, as the one in Vegas hasn't even opened yet, and they already announced one coming to Chicago. So Universal very likely is getting in on this, trying to establish itself early, whereas Netflix is probably looking at doing the same thing. And then you think about other big entertainment companies. I mean, Apple comes to mind as the amount of money that they have. I don't think they have the IPs to really do it, but you have companies out there that have money that they will spend to establish, locations like this to give fans of those IPs another type of experience to immerse themselves into these, unique things that they can offer. And I think if these things really catch on, I'm not going to be surprised one bit if this does start affecting theme park attendance. I mean, you're already seeing with Disney that the attendance this summer is not nearly what they want it to be. We'll have to wait and see. I'm not really sure what it is for Universal, but Universal is expecting to have a bigger quarter this quarter than they were the last few, just given Epic Universe has come online. But with these experiences like this that are much easier to access, that also include these, popular IPs, is something that will appeal to people. And I think you're seeing a lot of these companies take this risk, as it's much easier to do this than it is to, say, build a theme park. Building a theme park or running a theme park is a very expensive endeavor that can make money, but it is a big risk. These could sort of be little test things that they do to see what people think about this. And I'm not saying it will happen, but I'm not going to be surprised in 10 to 20 years if Netflix or some of these really big entertainment companies also maybe set up their own theme parks into the future. Because again, if there's that much money to be made off of this, there's going to be other companies coming to the market that want to also use that same model. From the longest time, Disney completely dominated the theme park industry. Universal wasn't even considered a competitor. It was just a park down the street that people sometimes would go to for a day, maybe 2 days. But Universal in the last decade has turned themselves into a vacation destination very close to what Disney offers, and they're going to continue to grow that in terms of what they're able to do, competing directly with Disney. In fact, Universal had eaten in over 10% of market share from Disney the past decade. So if Universal is able to do this, other companies can do this as well. Now, I do think it's a bigger jump going from a Netflix house to running a theme park, but it's not that big of a leap to think that they wouldn't take that risk to do it if they brought some people on board. I mean, it's not uncommon in the corporate sphere. You see people poach, people from other companies that have expertise in areas, bring them on board and try and set up their own thing. As I think typically in the past, it was just you license out these IPs, let other people handle it, which can still make you money, is the easier thing to do. But at the same time, if you're willing to take that risk, if you think it'll work, if you think you have an idea out there that could resonate with an audience, you do stand to make a lot more money by doing your own thing. You also stand to have a lot more risk in that scenario where you could lose a lot of money. So it's definitely a risk-reward type of situation. But I think it's interesting that Netflix is doing this. And Universal's even said the Horror Unleashed experiences, the kid parks in Texas that they're building, are very likely to go to other places around the country and even around the world. So it's very likely that Netflix could follow this same model and set up these, Netflix houses all over the country, potentially in overseas areas as well. And you could see a trend of these things start happening. Now, just looking at it on its face, I don't really think something like this would affect Universal or Disney World really too much. But I think when you're talking about these regional theme parks, I think they're more at risk for these things with like Six Flags. Regional theme parks have caught on with popularity over the years. But things like this could really give those a run for their money. And especially as Universal sets up these kid parks and maybe these other smaller theme park experiences nationwide, you could also see that encroaching on the regional theme park model also, as very much the themed entertainment space, I think, is going to change, especially when we talk about the next 10 to 20 years. And I think it's very interesting. So I don't know. I don't have any predictions about this. I don't know. It's an interesting idea, but I definitely could see this scenario going even further and whether Netflix would be the only one or other companies would get in on this. And I think given enough time and seeing how Universal has been able to succeed with the attention they're getting and with how much money Disney makes in their parks currently, some company or companies will look at that model and think we want a piece of that pie too and break into the market on some level. Now, it's not going to be, if they do that, it's not going to be an easy road at all. But I wouldn't be surprised one bit if you start seeing this more. And we have seen some, regional theme parks. There's a Mattel theme park that is being built more in the Midwest, as that's using like Barbie and Hot Wheels and some of those other properties. So we've already seen brands that instead of licensing their IPs out have decided to make their own experiences. And I think this trend is likely to continue. And there could be a lot more competition on the theme park side in the future for both Universal and Disney. And, in the end, I think it's a good thing because consumers are going to have a lot more options out there. And if somebody does come into the theme park space and does push both Disney and Universal, again, that's just going to make Disney and Universal and these other competitors, whoever pops up, create better experiences, create more immersive experiences. And as I've always said, I'm a huge fan of competition. I think it's great. I think the consumer wins in that scenario. And I think if going into the future, not only are Disney and Universal competing with each other, but let's say Netflix or some other company steps into the theme park space with a similar idea, looking at what's going on, wanting a piece of that pie, it's only going to make Disney, Universal, and whoever else is competing in that market create better and newer experiences for people to check out, competing for your vacation dollar and your attention. And I think that's just going to give the consumer better things. So I think it's a very interesting development. And I think this could be the beginning of more of these types of experiences, but it very well could morph itself into eventually a theme park destination if there is a company that has deep enough pockets and is aggressive enough to get into the theme park space to maybe try and make their name be known, cause a little ripple effect through that industry. It's very possible it could happen, but as of now, you are going to have some Netflix houses pop up in Vegas, Philadelphia, and Dallas. Interesting concept, very similar to kind of what Universal's doing. And you could see Disney step into this as well. I mean, if they think this is going to encroach on them, you could see them have their own type of experiences they put up around the country as well, as they want to be known as the same level of Netflix and these other entertainment offerings. We'll have to wait and see, when this thing opens, what it's going to be like, what people think about it, and do they have any more announcements about this. But as of now, that's all I have on this. So that's going to be it, though, for this video. So if you like this video, please like it and subscribe to the channel, as we do lots of coverage here of Universal Studios, Epic Universe, Disney World, and pop culture. And let us know in the comments, what do you think about Netflix House? And do you think this trend of these themed entertainment experiences are going to continue to grow? And until next time, we will see you in the parks.